Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to Championship Sunday here at DreamHack London, live from the CopperBox Arena. The best of European Call of Duty talent is joining us today in an elimination bracket to fight it out for $20,000. Bringing you the action all day long, my name is Brycey, and joining me in the studio, two excellent casters. It's Rel and Momo. How are you two this morning?
I'm incredibly excited. I mean, Bryce, we've seen all the action yesterday. We've seen what these teams are capable of, but now it all comes down to this. This is where the big games are going to be played now. This is what's deciding who takes away that prize money.
Like Rel said, obviously these guys have played against each other yesterday, a few upsets. The bracket's been worked out. We know who's playing who. I'm just excited to get started.
Well, speaking of brackets, let's have a little look at the bracket this morning and see how every team has stacked up, and to remind ourselves of where everyone's going to play. So first up, you can see the first game of the morning will be Infused versus Vitality. VWS versus Millennium will be after it. And then, of course, you see the two teams in the losers bracket next to and Reward are waiting for the two losers of the first two games. Anything that stands out on this bracket for you two?
I think, Infused and Vitality, I like the fact that potentially we could see another Infused Millennium. That's one thing that I would love to see again. We saw it yesterday. Infused got the hot 3-0. I'd like to see it again.
Well, for me, based off the performances so far, I mean, I might be jumping the gun and going on to predictions a bit, but I think Infused are actually going to take Vitality here, and VWS will take Millennium. I'm going against my earlier prediction, so we'll talk about that a bit more later, but what we have to remember here is how they performed yesterday. Infused haven't dropped a single map, whereas Vitality are dropping maps every single team that they play.
One of the other interesting things we kind of need to point out here is, in terms of how it played out yesterday, VWS upsetting Infused, Vitality, Millennium of Infused, that was an upset as well. So where would we normally expect these teams to come into the bracket? It's actually flipped twice.
Yeah.
So it means they're actually going to play the people we expect them to play anyway.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. I mean, when we put our initial predictions down there of who's going to be faced against who, it's ended up the same, but it's gone around the houses in a different kind of way. So it kind of goes to show you that it's very difficult to predict when you come to this kind of caliber of players. It's very hard to predict who's going to take the maps, which is why this tournament's become so interesting, because it's so difficult to decide who's going to make it to that first place finish.
It certainly is. Our first game of the morning is going to be Infused Vitality. Let me get your first thoughts on how you think it's going to play out.
I'm going to say, based on the performance yesterday, Infused should run away with it. However, you look at the Vitality squad, and you just can't. Something inside me does not want to say that they're going to lose. You've got Tommy, Swanee, Mad Cat, Joe, literally 4 awesome star players. I'm going to have to go with... I really don't know. My head says Infused, my heart says Vitality. I'm going to go with Infused. Purely on their performance yesterday, it was incredible.
All right.
Well, here's my prediction on this. So we know that Vitality have this search and destroy problem. We discussed it at length yesterday. We discussed it with the players, and they'll hold hands up and admit it themselves. And I think, based off recent form, I can't see them winning a search and destroy against Infused, who haven't dropped a single map so far this event. So
I think that's kind of a fair comparison. Let's have a little look at the teams here. We're going to start off with Vitality. We're going to go through the players player by player and introduce them. Momo, start me off, please.
Everyone knows him. Tommy, he's represented pretty much, all the top organizations. He's done success across the pond internationally. A lot of prize money has gone his way. However, this Vitality squad, struggling a little bit. I'm hoping he can come out as a team leader.
yeah, I mean, it wouldn't seem like Vitality without Tommy, really, would it? But completing this lineup as we move along is going to be Joe. Now, Joe, we say heavy objective-based player. One thing that we say about Vitality is the other three players within this team are big slayers. That's not to say that Joe can't put up some big figures, but they're sometimes reliant on him to make these big, sneaky clutch plays, so definitely one to watch out for in Uplink.
Absolutely, and moving on, I mean, Joe was obviously my pre-MVP for the tournament. This is none other than Swanee. Like Tommy, obviously had international experience, he's played at the top level for so long, a Call of Duty veteran. There's not much this man hasn't done, let's be honest.
A lot of rumours flying around last night about this man as well. The rumours, of course, if you haven't been catching up, is obviously the Optic Nation move, but that's speculation at its finest.
Of course, but we do love a bit of speculation in esports, don't we? But finally, for Vitality, is going to be Mad Cat. A lot of people tip him as the best European player, really on Call of Duty, and for very good reason. We saw him yesterday wielding the sniper rifle, but actually running around with pistols, doing some serious damage on search and destroy, showing that he's extremely versatile, can adapt to pretty much any game or any game type, and we're going to be probably seeing big things on him on the future Call of Duties too.
Yeah, and I think one thing just on Vitality there, that's a Championship Sunday team, they know how to perform. However, moving on to Infused, we have Zero. this is a player which has impressed me so much this tournament. I've casted over him for not many maps at all compared to the players on Vitality. However, Zero putting up huge numbers online, huge numbers on LAN. He must be pumped going into this next game. He's 6 maps into the tournament, and he's won all 6.
Well, that's it. Completely undefeated so far, as are his teammates. Marky B, the leader of Infused here. We actually had him down doing some casting yesterday. Interestingly, over Vitality. Maybe he's picked up a few things by watching their gameplay, discussed the strengths and weaknesses, but I know he's going into this pumped. Vitality essentially are the team to beat, and Marky B wants to do that.
Absolutely. And finalizing the Infused squad, we have Urban. Again, much like Zero, I'd say, you know, he's really impressed me. His Search and Destroy is off the charts. And I think the pinnacle and why Infused are so good at Search and Destroy is this man himself, Urban. Bit new to the top level competitive scene, or top flight, should you say. But yeah, very impressive. Urban, can they take down Vitality?
Yep, and well, actually finalising the Infused lineup is going to be PT as we go along to him now, and there he is, Adam P, the wild card, I would say, for the team. Can put up some very impressive figures on the scoreboard. Keep an eye on him when we go to the final scoreboards at the end. Look at those statistics and you will see some very impressive kill death ratios, unless he's having an off day, and this is the thing with PD, sometimes he can have a rough day, but if he's performing well, if he's on form, then he's going to do some serious damage.
Absolutely. I think PD yesterday needs to improve on his performance yesterday, and I think he knows that. I had a chat with him beforehand. I'm excited to see what he can do.
Yeah, me too, to be honest with you. Basically what we're saying here is 2 incredibly high caliber teams. And to be honest with you, I'm really excited to see this game here. Infused looks super hot yesterday. Vitality did not. And I think that's the kind of the biggest storyline here, is that technically, although Vitality maybe have the slightly better squad on paper, that wasn't showing. This has been another benchmark. It's another day. It's another chance to redeem themselves. S&D does seem like a weakness as well. So for both these squads, there's a lot actually going on in kind of dynamic. I even heard some people say, you know, Team Fuse seem to be in this kind of honeymoon period where everything's kind of working. There's a new team. They haven't played together that much. So what do you think of this? Is this going to be, you know, the kind of the new squad they've not really played together before, or pretty much the old dogs, the veterans who've teamed innumerable times?
I think that's what it was. And as I was saying, like, you know, my head wants to say Infused from their previous performance. They've got this almost honeymoon period. They're doing extremely well, and, you know, they're almost playing off the hype and the confidence. But I think you actually said it outside of the casting death to me yesterday. You said Vitality, they don't have this honeymoon period because the likes of Tommy Swanee and the rest of them, they've teamed with each other before. They've not got that, like, sudden chemistry out of nowhere. They know how each other play, and it's just putting 4 awesome players together and hoping it works.
Yeah, I think that's one of the kind of the key ways to sum up Vitality, and we all know this team has been made for big tournaments, and I think this is what we were benchmarking before this tournament said. We said we need to find out how good Vitality are. Do they have the pace and the tempo? Yesterday they were accused of being passive, and we even brought out when we had Mad Cat on the desk, we said this is not working. He said we're going to go away tonight, we're going to talk about what we did, and even speaking about Mad Cat actually changing into going into an SMG. If they get him to do that, I'll be interested to see today.
Yeah.
I mean, this series is going to be evidence of that. This team talk that they've had this huddle, which they will have no doubt had. I mean, we were saying before that the type of personalities on Vitality and the characters that they are, they won't go out of a tournament with a few losses and on maps and just forget about them. They will want to talk about them. We're going to see how they go against Infused, and that will kind of show us how they're going to go against other teams if they go into the loser bracket.
All right, let's talk about some of the key players in this matchup, kind of the keys to victory. So first of all, let's cover the key players. Who do you think will be just crucial for both squads to actually take this W here?
I'm going to kind of, like, the crucial players and the key players for me is the players that I don't think performed as well as they usually do yesterday. And that for me is PT from Infused and Tommy from Vitality. Yeah. Tommy, you know, for many years has just been, you know, almost like the face of EU gaming and everything. All the Americans were like, it's the king, you know, it's like Scumpy, if you like. But I think recently he's just maybe, you know, not been putting those numbers up. Maybe it's the teamwork, maybe it's this kind of sudden change into SMG. But for me, Tommy and PT.
Well, I'm slightly different there. I would say for Infused, and I'm kind of going the complete opposite way. I think the people that have been performed exceptionally well yesterday need to maintain that performance if they want to actually take away the win. So for me, it's Urban on Infused. I think he's really impressed me, actually. Yeah. Not necessarily putting up huge figures in terms of kills, but the surprise plays, the sneaky passes, the big uplink captures, Urban's been all the way there. And Madcap just got to keep up doing what he's doing, and Vitality should be able to take some maps.
When you speak about a player like Madcap, you don't expect him to actually go negative or to drop, you know, anything less than top numbers. Yeah. So for me, you know, Madcap's going to be consistent. He's going to do what he needs to do to win, and it's more about morale with that squad as well. Quite interesting points you actually made there. You actually highlighted both SMGs, I believe, Tommy and PD.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of indicative of what we were saying about the passiveness, and they need that speed. They're going against it. I mean, for me, players like PD, he's going to be the one to kind of bring that one up. He's got to be fast. He's got to be quick. This is his game, in my opinion. He was maybe in Black Ops 2, we called him as a player to watch. He certainly did catch fire. He went where a lot of people kind of predicted him to go because they saw the raw talent there. That talent has now been honed by several years of playing with veterans to, him being a veteran of big events in his own right. So, like I said, this is probably his game, and the players he's teaming with, he seems very comfortable with. Marky B is always playing for redemption so far this year. Every single event we go to, he's got something to prove for some reason because he's been dropped again. And for him to take away a W here would be massive for him, especially considering what's happened. Obviously, Vitality, for them, this is a different story. They're talking about Worlds. They're talking about we need to be in this good shape. Because if they don't come out of the tournament with a good performance, everyone will then be doubting them at Worlds, and everyone will be saying, well, they're not going to perform there if they can't perform here.
Yeah, I mean, every player and every team has their own hopes and aspirations here, and just on the subject of Mark, he's a true professional in every sense of the word. We had him down casting. He doesn't get involved in any of the politics or the nitty-gritty of it. He's here to play, he's here to do well, and he wants to do well for himself and for his team. Vitality, of course, need to impress. They're going to be going on to some big events recently, and he needs to be taking down some of the competition here in comfortable fashion if they're going to be able to take down maybe the harder competition at an event like Worlds.
Well, you can see there, Tommy looks like he's giving his team a pep talk. They know this match is only a few minutes away. And I think that's another big thing that people got to realize, especially, considering just what the kind of leader Tommy is. We spoke about this at length here. I mean, Marky's kind of the same way on the other team here, but there's slightly different styles here. Marky's quite passionate, whereas Tommy's very direct about what he wants to say. And the thing about Vitality with that as well is that the players he's playing with, Swanee will take advice from him, but at the same time, Swanee has his own very definite way of how he needs to play. Mad Cat, he's probably not the greatest at taking advice, let's be perfectly clear here. But he will also be injecting his own brand of, this is what we think we need to do. So you've got to be kind of considering, if this team doesn't perform here, how does that affect their morale? Do you get players start piping up who think, well, maybe I should have more of a say in what we do?
Absolutely, and I think the key at the moment, you saw Tommy giving the team talk, and I think Marky will be doing exactly the same. For me, it's all based on this first map now. If Millennium take it, they'll get the confidence they need to go on and maybe put a bit more, maybe win a Search and Destroy. But if Infuse take the first hard point, there's 2 Search and Destroys which are still in there. Vitality will be down. The likes of maybe Mad Cat, and their team might crumble a little bit. But I think it's all down on this first map.
All right, well, that's kind of interesting. Rel, anything further to add?
I was just going to say, I think for Vitality to win this, the only way I can see them doing it is a 3-2 victory where they have to win both the hard points and the uplink. I just cannot see them winning Search and Destroy against Infuse the way they've been playing.
Okay, fair enough. Well, last predictions from you guys. I just want to find out exactly what you're saying you think is going to happen. Momo, let's start with you, and I can already see you struggling to kind of come up with an answer.
It's so hard to go against this. I put Vitality to win the whole tournament, and I've got to stick with that. I'm going to say 3-2 to Vitality.
Okay, Rel?
I'm gonna say 3-1 to Infused. I think Vitality will drop. Vitality will win the first hard point, but then I think they'll crumble there on in. If not 3-1, then 3-2 to Infused.
Okay, so both the brothers disagreeing this time round. It's time to get this game underway, and Championship Sunday. It's Infused versus Vitality. Over to the casters.
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. DreamHack London 2015 at the CopperBox Arena. My name is Rel, this is Momo. You are watching the Call of Duty Championship here, $20,000 prize pool, and it's Championship Sunday. So much on the line for these players.
Absolutely, and looking at every single game today, every single one is awesome. Yeah. Like, sometimes you'd be like, oh, that's going to be a close game, or that's going to be an easy 3-0. Every single game that you will be watching today will be close. It will be intense. There will be rivalries on every single one. And there's a bit of drama flying around. So for a caster, it just makes it more and more enjoyable, doesn't it, Rel?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's like you say, the talent that's here, the level of competition, it's so hard to separate all of these teams. I'm incredibly excited to see how the brackets are going to pan out here. Just in those predictions, I could see your face, you could probably see mine. It was so difficult to actually say which way this one was going to go. I'm actually going to go back on myself a little bit here. I think Vitality will take the uplink game, but I think they're going to lose the hard points and Search and Destroys when it comes to it. So
it's so hard to predict, isn't it?
Well, this is it. They're an excellent